The Samurai. While thinking about this series, where I optimised the starting classes, the one class that I wasn't worried about was the Samurai. Because you can't go wrong. Levelling dexterity will give you one of the best dex builds in the game. Levelling arcane allows you to use the most infamous weapon in Elden Ring. And levelling int allows you to delete everything with one of the game's best swords, and one that I've never used before in a run. Anyway, I made a faith build, and it's one of the most broken things on this channel. I'm not even kidding. Hey guys, Thingfishy here, and welcome to episode 52 of Avoiding Making a Moonveil Guide. And genuinely, I started this run out of curiosity and for a bit of a laugh, but it's insanely good, and definitely one of the strongest builds I've ever made in the game. So the Samurai. One of the first build guides I made was a Samurai build based around Rivers of Blood, and I'm not making a Moonveil guide. So instead, I made a pure faith build. One that could use all of the most broken spells in the game, but as you'll see, really doesn't need to. To do this, before following my standard setup guide for all of the flask and weapon upgrades, I rode across Limgrave and into Caelid. Right across the bridge, round the side of Redmane Castle and up the ladder. I saw someone asking in the comments about the way through on the Confessor video. I always just jump on these boxes and over the wall. Past the flamethrower dudes to the left of the boss room and into the building ahead to grab the red hot wet blade to unlock the flame art infusion. Now while you watch me go and grab some build guide favourites, let me talk you through the theory of this build. When I did my Confessor video, I realised how good flame art infusions are for melee weapons on a faith build. Both the Uchi and the Nagakiba with a flame art infusion will give you very similar damage to Moonveil. And the Fire Scorpion Charm and Flame Shrouding Tear will give you the same boosts as their magic variants on a Moonveil build. But what you can't do on a pure in Moonveil build is further boost that damage with Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. So I wanted to see if I could make a fire-based alternative to Moonveil, using all of the game's fire buffs. Now to Lena's Rise for some runes. Someone commented about using a foul foot after the cavalry jumps off, so I thought I'd try it, and it works great. In case you mess it up though, or just can't be bothered to go get the other foul foot, I didn't use one on Grail, so you'll be a little higher leveled than I am on this run. Head back to the round table and buy the Finger Seal. This will work fine for following this build, we're not going to use any incantations. But if you want to, you could go grab the Erdtree Seal and level it with the Sombers from the setup, almost for free. Now to the South Argyll Lake Grace and into the pond to kill the little scarab for Unsheath, to give our weapon a flame art infusion. Equip the Fire Scorpion Charm and head to the Rot View balcony and towards the Minor Erdtree for the Avatar. Bully him for the Flame Shrouding Tear. You're going to use this and the Faith Tear for the whole run. Time for Margit and a chance to see how this build is looking. Since we didn't even get a chance to use it on Margit, for Godric, I broke out Unsheath. Unsheath is one of the best Ashes of War in the game. The posture damage per second is really only rivaled by the Starfist, the Iron Balls, and the Wing of Astal. So it's incredibly good for staggering enemies. If they have enough health to be staggered before they die, that is. As usual, I'm heading straight for Radahn, but feel free to clear out Rhea Lucaria and Volcano Manor first if you want more levels. Noble would be fine, and Rykard gets shredded by Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength, so that'd be an easy one. So Radahn, I'll let this play, and as you can see from the number of unsheaths I got here, this would be a very easy Radahn stagger without the hyper armor. Phase 2 is fairly relaxed with this weapon. After the fight, speak to Alexander and convince him to give you his shard. Ride to the Walking Mausoleum in Weeping to duplicate Radahn's remembrance for some extra runes. Then grab the third talisman pouch from Egnell. While I go get my usual fourth talisman, the Ritual Sword, I wanted to talk about some alternatives, as I know I use it on every run and it's maybe less optimal if you're less experienced. The Ritual Shield talisman in front of the Colosseum in Lane Dell is a really strong talisman and particularly good for avoiding one-shots at low vigour. All of the Dragon Crest talismans are also great. And finally, the blue Dancer Charm would work really well on this build if you went for nudity over the samurai fashion. Time for the Sentinel, and I'll just let this one play. As we have a fire build, I decided to delete the avatar in the Capital Avenue for a free Lord's Rune. Run into Godfrey's arena and bait out the jump attack for an unsheath. Obviously he won't do it, but it's a nice idea. Godfrey managed to do what no boss had done so far and actually land a hit before he died. I always seem to get hit once by Godfrey no matter what the build. Now for Morgoth, and this was a really scrappy fight, but I thought I'd leave it in to show you how this build fares when not everything goes to plan. It's still ridiculously good. As usual, there's a link in the description to the mountaintop smithing stones we need here, so you don't have to watch me get them. Back to the Zamor ruins to kill Shabriri for the fashion. Just spam R1, it's fine. You can now head back to the seaside ruins in Limgrave to grab our secondary weapon for the run, the Nagakiba. Now comes the painful bit. We need 12 of each smithing stone, as well as 10 extra smithing 6s on top of that. We're also going to need to use all of our extra remembrances to level up our dex and strength to meet the Nagakiba's requirements. All of this means we get no extra damage or health levels from Morgoth. Before facing a famously fire-resistant fire giant with a build centered around fire damage. This sounds like it might suck, but no, it's fine. Unsheathed still does great damage, and you'll be getting staggers very easily. Phase 2 is a bit more drawn out than usual, but I've had worse fire giant fights on weapons that aren't at a disadvantage. Now into Farum for another fire-resistant boss, Duo. And once again, you wouldn't know it. 3 unsheaths, followed by a riposte, and it's curtains for the sticky bandits. Now back to the round table to once again burn through every rune we have on weapon upgrades. 24 smithing 8s and 10 smithing 7s to get both of our swords to plus 24. Then to the giant skull in the mountaintops for an ancient for the Uchi. And for the Nagakiba, up the circular staircase towards Alexander in Farum, forget which button's which and fall off the ledge. Then try again pressing the correct button and up the pillar for another ancient smithing. The tree sentinel got bullied so hard there wasn't even time to parry him. Now, while you watch this Malekith fight that looks like I'm playing some sort of Elden Ring easy mode mod, please bear a few things in mind. I haven't been to Raya Lucaria or Volcano Manor. I've spent over 300,000 runes on weapon upgrades, and I have far more vigour than I actually need. This is a quick and dirty version of this build. You could probably have another 20 levels in damage if you wanted to. And look what it's doing to what is usually considered a hard boss.
Witness tarnished. Why cover destined death? To kill what? Forgive me. The Golden Order cannot be restored.
Now, I have felt a bit guilty about the Caria Manor Loretta in this series, as I've just been cheesing her for early Carian retaliation on every run, so I wanted to fight her for once. Loretta is a formidable opponent, so the best strat had left out of her arena and jumped down into the building to grab Carian retaliation from Pidia. Stick it on your shield and head to Castle Sol for Commander Nile. Delete the summons with unsheaths or backstabs. And here's how the Nile fight goes on this build, even when you miss parries and press the wrong button occasionally. Now something strange was happening. I hadn't died to a boss yet on this run. And as that put me in real danger of looking like I know what I'm doing, I thought I'd change that by heading to an endgame boss with so much fire resistance that I found him mathematically impossible to kill with Catch Flame on a fully optimised Faith build. Could this setup actually work for Moog? And yeah, of course it does. 4 unsheaths, one of which you can do in pretty much every single gap. For a stagger, then let the bleed take care of the rest. I'm not going to pretend this was an easy fight, and unless you're well versed in Moog's Phase 2, it should probably be left till later in the run. But he didn't kill me, and I've had worse Moogs on other builds at much higher levels. Now for Plassie, and yeah, Unsheath is just monstrous. So much so that if he decides that he's going to pull the nuke on you early, you can just say no and stagger him out of it. If you get bored of staggering him every 30 seconds, you can go for dual wielding and bleed procs. But either way, this is about as easy as this fight gets. The runes I got from Plassie enabled me to max out my damage, meaning the order didn't matter for the rest of the game. So to push my luck as far as possible on this deathless streak, I headed into the Halyx tree. Once again, I'm just going to let this one play. On the Lost and Forgotten Ultimate Int guide I filmed back in December, I actually used Moonveil on Loretta, and it was nowhere near as good as this. So I knew I could get through the Ashen Capital without dying. If I could first try Melania, I could complete my first deathless run of Elden. When I said deathless, I just meant the bosses, by the way. I fell off about 20 cliffs, so this isn't turning into a challenge run channel anytime soon. That death did, however, make me a little paranoid about the Unsheath recovery time. So I followed every use of it by spamming roll backwards on the second attempt. 3 parries, take the riposte, then an unsheath as she stands up. I took off the armour so I could do my easy waterfowl dodge, rolling back 3 times when she gets to the highest point in the air, then dodging the rest with 3 rolls, 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. For Gideon, I had a plan, and rather remarkably, it actually worked. 2 unsheaths, 2-hand the Nagakiba, straight into a Piercing Fang. I actually really want to do a Piercing Fang run at some point, as it's really good. For Godfrey, something I haven't even mentioned yet. The rolling power stance attack of the katanas is very fast and does amazing damage. You're doing roughly double what you'd get from a max level Bloodhound's Fang here. And for Horalu, full send. For Radagon, runs straight up to him for an early unsheath. Fuck. We're not counting that one as a death. Radagon is completely scripted with this setup. And for Elden Beast, spam unsheath for the win. You don't even have to worry about Elden stars, you can just stagger him out of it. And that's it. How to make a stupidly overpowered samurai build without Rivers of Blood or Moonpearl. If you try this build, please let me know how you got on in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon.